Good morning, everybody. Today I'm finally doing a review video on this bad boy here. This is a fishing kayak, and you will know that because you've searched YouTube to find out about fishing kayaks. This one in particular is the Lifetime Angler Tamarack Angler 100. I'm going to go through pros and cons, which there are very good on both sides, pros and cons. I'm going to show you what I've added to it for my personal benefit that I think helps fishing kayaks exceed their limit. Overall, right now, I've taken this out more than a handful of times, and I got to be honest, it's changed fishing for me completely. I used to settle on bank fishing if I couldn't have access to a boat or whatever, but now that I have this, I can get out in the water. I don't have to limit myself to bank fishing. I don't have to worry about calling my friend up and being like, hey, let's go out on your boat. This one in particular, you know, I have no problems with. I'm 6 foot even, about 170 pounds, and it's extremely stable for me. So right now I want to get in on some pros and cons. Let's start off with some cons. Actually, my bad. Let's start off with some pros, because I know a lot of you are probably extremely curious about this particular kayak. First off, the pro to this is the price. I picked this up for about $450 if I'm not mistaken. I got it at Big 5 Sporting Goods. There's retails everywhere for this particular model, and I've seen them range from like 300 all the way up to 400. I honestly think that I probably paid just a little too much for this one particular one, but I've gotten my money's worth out of it already. It's extremely fun to use. It's awesome. Like I said, for a beginning kayak, I highly suggest this because you're not spending a ton of money to try something out that you've never done before. That was the boat I was in. I've never done kayak fishing, and I wanted to try it out. I wasn't sure if I'd like it or not, so I went with the cheaper model, which is this guy, and I picked him up. So the first pro is the price on it was not too steep, wasn't too bad, and yeah. Another pro. Let me grab the camera and I'll show you kind of up close and personal the boat a little bit better and more of its pros, and then I'll discuss some cons, and then I'll show you what I've added onto it. Okay, so here we have it a little bit more up close. Got this little seat here. Everything else. Pros for me that I like are these two bungee cord racks, as I would call them. I'm able to put milk crate, my backpack right here, have access to it from the seat. Then up here I put my small little lunch box that I keep, 5 water bottles in, a sandwich, some chips. I keep that up here, close access, and it locks in with these perfectly. You got these quote-unquote dry storages. Mine always has a little bit of water in there, but I think that's just from condensation, honestly. Little cup holder, which rarely gets used. Usually I'll have my water and it will fall between my legs here. 2 pole holders, which I do use these. I put my poles on. Keeps them really close access. I bought these as a little addition. I'll get into that a little bit later here next. But yeah, overall, out of 5 stars, 5 being something that I truly recommend and 1 being something that I would really try to sway the buyer. I give this 3.5 stars, solid 3.5 stars. Just because there's some cons that are pretty heavy, and we'll get into that right now. So the cons of this boat, like I said before, it's really stable, but I've not tried to stand up on it, and I don't think that it's meant to be stood up on. There's some kayaks that you'll see out there that are a couple $100s more that have this right here is completely flat for people to stand up on, maybe get a little bit you know, more used to it, and then I can try to stand up on it. But that con is not very much. Really, the only other thing, this pole holder, it can come in handy, and I could take it off, but sometimes it's in the way. And then, like I said, those two cons right there aren't going to persuade me from buying that particular kayak, and I hope that no one else is persuaded from that either, because it is a beginner's kayak, and like I said, you don't necessarily have to stand up on this your first time out. Sitting, you can see perfectly fine in a sitting stance. You can spend, I've spent 8 hours, 10 hours out on the water in this kayak sitting, and that does wear on you a little bit, but what wouldn't? And like I said, that pole holder, if it's something that's really in the way, I can easily pop it out of this little hole here and you know, take it out if I really wanted to. And now one more con that I want to get on, and this is the biggest one. This is the biggest con of this Tamarack Angler 100, and that's the seat. And I think when I was in the process of buying a kayak and I looked at this particular brand, a lot of the reviews was on this seat. Seat, it's manageable, it will work, but the thing I don't like about it is when you're out there on the water after a while, it's just really uncomfortable. It's not comfortable at all. There's a couple of other kayaks that I was looking at, a couple more $100, about $600 range. They have an elevated seat, which seems like it would be better. It seems like it would help out better. Cool. So as far as pros and cons, I honestly think the pros on this particular kayak, if you're starting out brand new, fresh, definitely go and get this. I think like I said, the pros are highly better than the cons on this one. Might get a seat cushion, and that would help this out completely a lot. I've thought about it, you know, and you can also modify that if you have that skill set. Other than that, 3.5 stars is a pretty good rating, I think, for a beginner. If you want to get out there on the water, small little waters, even big waters, definitely go for that. Now, if you're going into ocean fishing and stuff, right there on the reef, and I don't know anything about that. I'm strictly freshwater in my little town here. So yeah, like I said, you could get this set up right here. This and a cheap paddle, you're probably looking at for 400, I'd say anywhere from 350 all the way up to 500 bucks for this and a paddle that will get you out there on the water. So now I'm going to set this up the way I fish it. I need to get out on the water here because bugs out here are just eating me up. But I'm going to set this up the way that I fish to get it ready to go out there, and then I'll do a quick little review on what I've added to this particular kayak to make it a little, even a little bit more fun to use and more manageable. All right, so I've gotten everything set up right now. I'm about ready to hit the water out there. And this is what I have set up. So first off, I want to talk about this orange paracord. It's a little loose now. I need to tighten it up. That is an anchor trolley system, and it helps out when you're out there in the water and you want to stay in a certain spot with your anchor. Put it through here, set it down. It comes with this little anchor spot on the kayak itself, and when you have it that way, you're basically submitting to any wind, any direction of wind that's blowing off of that. It will push you a certain way. This will allow you to either face the wind or current, face the current or wind, or put your back towards it just by sliding this loophole back and forth. Look into it a little bit more. This one I think was like 30 or 40 bucks from Shields. Really easy install. I haven't had no problems with it. You do have to drill some holes in your kayak, but it comes with rubber washers, and everything's sealed off completely. Jump over to these little leashes. I got these at Walmart. I can't remember how much, maybe like $2 for a 2-pack. And yeah, I just use it to hold on to my poles when I first get out on the water and stuff, make sure they don't go anywhere. You know, simple stuff. A lot of kayak videos and stuff, you see people with milk crates and stuff. That's the same thing that this is. This is just a cheap crate. I think this was $1. Again, I got it at Walmart. I put all my baits in there. The anchor I have in there. Put a couple of pole holders, zip ties, no big deal. Holds my extra pole, and a net for catching. My angling backpack back here, I just hook it up to the crate, and everything's held down by that bungee system. Up here, same thing with the bungee system. It's just my lunch box here, nothing too fancy, and holds it securely. The paddle I got a Bending Branches Whisper. The reason why I got that is I seen reviews on it when I was looking at kayaks. This is I want to say 60 bucks, which I'd say is medium range for a kayak paddle, but it's definitely worth it. I've used a couple paddles before this kayak, just, you know, messing around, and cheaper ones are a lot more flimsy. These are firm, and they get you out in the water and get you where you're going. So yeah, this is my whole setup. This is how I go fish. I love it. I've seen people put fish finders on this, everything, all that you can think of. You can buy stuff and add to this little kayak as much as you want. You can have a creative mind as much as you want to, you know, make it more comfortable for yourself to enjoy the fishing experience more for yourself. But yep, that's my setup right there. Set this camera down. Cool. So my overall review on this Tamarack Angler 100. If you've never done kayak fishing before and you want to try it out and you don't want to use a lot of money, invest in one of these. Get out there, try it out. If you don't like it, I'm sure you can sell it for a little bit. Might not get what you paid for it, but you won't take a huge loss. And plus, this will always give you room to work up to maybe that $3,000 Hobie. But where I'm at right now is I'm still learning the kayak fishing. I love it. Like I said, it's opened up a whole new door for me. And yeah, 3.5 stars, solid. Maybe on some days a 4-star, maybe on some days a 3-star, but overall 100% 3.5 stars for a beginning kayak. I wouldn't change anything about it. My current setup is extremely accessible. I love it enough to keep it this way, and I'll keep it on keeping on. So Get this, get out there on the water, keep your lines tight, catch big fish, enjoy it, enjoy life.